Hi, I'm Sarah Hatch, author and illustrator of a children's book series called The Adventures of Hazel and Leo. Book 1 was called The Ancient Redwoods, and Book 2 is called Magic in the Smokies, and it takes place in the Great Smoky Mountains. And in this book, Hazel and Leo are imagining up unicorns, alicorns, fairies, and other fun magical creatures. This is the paperback version that's available on Amazon, and I'm going to read it to you now. Here it goes. Welcome to Adventure Central Radio. It's me, Hazel. My twin brother Leo and I just got back from an amazing trip with our parents to the Great Smoky Mountains. I can't wait to tell you all about the incredible adventure we had. I know what you're thinking. Why would you choose to go to a mountain filled with smoke? Don't worry. Our parents assured us the mountains are not on fire. They're called the Smoky Mountains because of the misty clouds rising from the trees that look like smoke. Our parents planned for all of us to go on a hike to a waterfall. As we hiked, I kept thinking about the misty clouds we had seen earlier. Everything seemed so magical. If ever there were a place where unicorns lived, this was it. I sighed, "Oh, Leo, wouldn't it be amazing if we saw a unicorn?" "Yeah," Leo replied, "but they're pretty secretive. We'd have to be really lucky to actually see one." "No luck needed when you have tracking skills like me," I said. Our quest to find a unicorn was on. We had been hiking for a while when I caught Leo staring at something. Was it a unicorn clue? No, of course not. He was just studying a gross, slimy snail. "Leo, how is a snail supposed to give us clues?" "You never know." I stood up, and that's when something amazing happened. A butterfly flew towards me. This may be hard to believe, but it actually landed on my finger. As if that wasn't amazing enough, I heard a sweet, whispery voice coming straight from the butterfly. I turned to Leo and said, "The butterfly is talking to me." "No way, what is it saying?" Leo asked. "Shh, let's listen." We stood perfectly still and heard it say, "Anyone who wants to find unicorns must enter a magical realm by walking behind a waterfall." "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go," Leo said. We made it to the waterfall and carefully walked on the slippery rocks behind the watery curtain. Gemstones glittered on the dark, wet rocks, and we knew this was it. We were entering a magical realm. The sky was glowing pink. Wildflowers lined the hills, and you could feel magic shimmering in the air. Best of all, I spotted my favorite animal in the world. The animal I have been dreaming of seeing up close my whole life. You guessed it. We had found a unicorn. I was about to run after it when we felt something whiz by us. "What in the world was that?" Leo asked. We looked closely at a tree where two adorable little fairies were perched. The fairy in pink swished down and hovered in front of our faces. In a high-pitched voice, she said, "Welcome to the magical realm. You are free to play and enjoy your time here." But then she pointed her finger at us and said, "But don't touch any of the gemstones. If you do, you'll regret it." We agreed to leave the gemstones alone. I turned and looked out at the unicorn, and I wondered out loud, how can we get the unicorn to come over here? "You can try feeding it magical wildflowers. Unicorns are crazy about them." We ran over and started picking wildflowers. We brought the flowers to the river's edge and called out to get the unicorn's attention. The unicorn came and gobbled them up, but then it started wandering away. I couldn't bear to see it leave, so I hurried off to pick more wildflowers. As I pulled up a big red flower, I was surprised to find a little sprite taking a nap under the shade of the petals. He squinted and said, "Oi, why'd you wake me up?" "Oh, we're gathering wildflowers to feed the unicorns," I answered. He grunted, "Unicorns are such boring creatures. They can't even fly." "But unicorns are the best creatures in the whole world," I said. "Ever heard of an alicorn?" he asked. "You mean a winged unicorn?" Leo asked. "Are you telling us they're real?" "Yeah, but they'll only appear when I play a certain song on this flute." "Oh, will you please do it for us?" I pleaded. "Sure, but you'll owe me a favor." "Anything to see an alicorn." He lifted his flute and began to play. The most majestic animal we had ever seen glided down from the clouds and landed in front of us. He let us scratch his head and pet his shiny hair. "I wonder if he'd give us a ride," Leo wondered out loud. The alicorn must have understood us because he spread his wings to let us climb on his back. We held on tight and off he galloped, beating his mighty wings as we took off into the sky. The wind was crisp and cool as it whipped through our hair. It was amazing to fly through the clouds at top speed. Suddenly, the alicorn tucked his wings and dove back down into the forest, flying along the path of the river. We saw a couple of cute bear cubs climbing trees as the mama bear looked up at us in surprise. We zoomed past them, continuing up the river. There were all kinds of woodland creatures along the river's edge. We were able to spot a raccoon, a fox, an elk, and a bald eagle. We were going so fast, I wonder if we missed any that were hiding in the shadows. Do you see any hiding in the shadows? I see a rabbit here, and a squirrel up here, and this is a bobcat. We arrived back at the waterfall, landing in the field of wildflowers. We thanked him for the ride and he flew away. We were ready to do more exploring when we heard the little sprite say, "Don't forget you owe me a favor." "Okay," we replied. "What do you need?" "Oh, I just need you to get me a gemstone." "But we aren't supposed to. The fairies warned us that if we touch a gemstone, something bad will happen," I replied. He waved his hand and said, "Pish posh, that's only if you keep the gemstone for yourself." We had a bad feeling about it, but we had made a promise. Leo climbed up the slippery rocks and I supported him from behind as he reached for a gemstone. Just as he pried it loose, his foot slid out from under him and we started tumbling. While falling backwards into the water, I heard the fairy sing, "I warned you not to touch the gemstones." The water was so cold, but luckily it wasn't too deep. I stood up, completely soaked, and looked around. Everything had returned to normal. We looked over at Mom and Dad sitting at the edge of the riverbank. It almost looked like they were trying not to laugh at us. How could they laugh at a time like this? The magical realm was gone. The fairy's warning had come true, and now we stood there dripping, shivering, and devastated. We got out of the water and Mom said, "Okay guys, let's get back to camp. We can change into dry clothes and warm you up by the fire." We sat around the fire that night telling our parents all about the magical realm. Kind of seemed like they didn't believe us because my dad said, "Hey guys, do you want to see something that is truly magical? Look." He pointed to the night sky around us, and that's when we saw little glowing lights bobbing around in the air. Fireflies. If you look really closely, there's a little extra something I added into that corner. Do you see the fairies? I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you can get a copy for yourself so you can read it with your family. And I hope you have fun adventuring outside and using your imagination. Have a great day!